There really is never a dull day in wrestling. Alright, yesterday I wake up to this. Former WWE writer files lawsuit against company, cites discriminatory treatment. Alright, so there's a lot to unpack here. I'm just going to get right into this article. I'll give you what you need to know as far as what happened, then I'll just give my initial thoughts. Obviously, there's more to play out with this, but this is just an initial sort of reaction to it. Former WWE writer Brittany Abrahams has filed a civil suit against the company regarding her termination and treatment while employed. Abrahams worked for the company from November 2020 until being let go in April 2022, where she was brought on as a writer for SmackDown and gained permanent employment the following May. The suit cites claims of discriminatory treatment, harassment, hostile work environment, wrongful termination, and unlawful retaliation against the plaintiff due to her race, color, and gender. Abrahams was one of the few black writers on staff, along with Silvers, who observed several of the complaints that are alleged. Basically, for this next bit, Abrahams lists a bunch of defendants, including Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon's in there, you got the lead writer, Ryan Callahan, he pops up quite a bit here, and then we go on. So, among the issues that Abrahams had included, dialogue written for Bianca Belair that Abrahams viewed as offensive, with the line for Belair written, I'm just going to read what the line is, I'm not going to try and do any sort of accent here. Don't make me take off my earrings and beat your ass. Alright? Which Abrahams stated was based upon cruel, ugly stereotypes of dark-skinned black women, with Abrahams voicing her concern to Callahan via email, and that Bianca Belair repeatedly said she did not want to say. So, there's that one. Now, we'll move on here. Other complaints included a pitch involving Reggie in NXT dressing in drag while he was paired with Carmella, the Apollo Crews character, where he used a heavy Nigerian accent, and an idea for Shane Thorne to have a hunting gimmick and would capture Reggie, who would continually escape. She also included a storyline idea for Ali, Mansoor, and Angel Garza, with the two men fighting over Aaliyah, and as part of the story would be that Mansoor had a secret. The suit alleges that Callahan threw out the idea that Mansoor's secret would be that he was behind the 9/11 attacks. Okay, I'll finish the article then give thoughts. Abrahams believes that she was unfairly reprimanded for taking a WrestleMania 38 commemorative chair when it was indicated that she was free to take one after the show ended, as did other writers, and she was fired days later. So that's really the main thing there. That's the sort of rundown of the lawsuit itself. I just want to give some initial thoughts with this. Obviously, a lot of this is alleged. It's going to play out in the court of law with this sort of thing. I just want to give my thoughts on the storylines and the sort of creative side to this, because this channel, I'm big with the kind of creative, the fantasy booking, the writing side of wrestling. I find booking wrestling just something I like to think I do fairly well, or at least book storylines decently. I'm not the worst creative mind in this thing. So I want to give my thoughts on some of these storylines. Now, the Bianca Belair thing, I'm not really going to comment on that. Bianca Belair having an objection with that line, that's 100% her prerogative. She didn't want to say that line. You know, you feed that back to the writing team, and that should just be taken out. There's no need to force her to say that. It's not like the most horribly racist, offensive, stereotypical line, but, you know, if she doesn't want to say it, just shouldn't have to say it. Like, that's sort of just straightforward. The part of this I find the most insane is the Aaliyah, Mansoor, and Angel Garza thing. If you're trying to do a love angle storyline, those aren't the hardest to do. They're just not. It's an easy dynamic to sort of play up on. It's been written in television for just decades and decades. The avenue Callahan's gone down here with a secret in the storyline of Mansoor, who would have been 6 years old, I believe. Like, let me fact check this while I'm on the call here. Yeah, Mansoor, when 9/11 happened, he was 5 turning 6 years of age when 9/11 happened. So apparently, Callahan's brilliant idea as the lead writer of SmackDown was to have Mansoor be responsible for the September 11 terrorist attacks that brought down the Twin Towers, and supplementary was the darkest day in the history of America, basically. Callahan's brilliant idea for this random middle of the show filler storyline on SmackDown would be to have Mansoor reveal just casually who's behind the 9/11 attacks. Like, who comes up with this stuff, you know? And this isn't like some brilliant creator. This isn't Vince Russo in 1998 writing really good, compelling television. This is in 2019. This is 2019, 2020. Do these people not know the kind of climate we're in as well? Like, even in 1998 or 2004, especially 2004, something like this wouldn't have like flown at all. It just wouldn't have. Like this is over the top, and not in like a risque, edgy way. Like, that's just completely unnecessary and over the mark. But I can't believe someone had that idea. Like, seriously speaking, I mean, like, the most out there idea I've done in one of my videos or thought of was literally Ali and Sami Zayn being the PC brigade, being like woke protesters. That's the sort of most risque I've done with my sort of booking, because there's just no need. It's wrestling. You don't need to go this far with this sort of stuff. But this was the idea. The idea was literally to have Mansoor's secret be that he was behind the 9/11 attacks. When he's a 27-year-old, he would have been 5 turning 6 when those fateful attacks happened on September 11th, 2001. Well, it's nuts to me. So there was that, which is one of the worst ideas I've ever heard in a writing wrestling sense. And then you got this idea, the Shane Thorne thing. So as an Australian myself, I have plenty of basis to comment on this. So Shane Thorne, because he's Australian, he's a hunter, he's a crocodile hunter, Crocodile Dundee, pal. I'm surprised that it didn't make Shane Thorne's gimmick that he throws shrimps on the barbie and he hunts down animals. Like, the plan was to have him as a hunting gimmick who'd capture Reggie, a guy who they were trying to make dress in drag. So I can't believe what I'm reading right now. Like, seriously, like, this is nuts. So Shane Thorne, a fellow Australian, his gimmick would have been that he hunts. Now, this isn't as though Australian wrestlers are once in a generation people who are like, they're like alien. They're so foreign to the American writing team. Rhea Ripley is like the star of the WWE now. Bronson Reed is there. Murphy was employed around this time. You know, like, there are a number of Australian talents. The Iconics were around at this time, and Callahan was really steering the ship on SmackDown here. So to have Shane Thorne, he's the hunter. He's got the hunting gimmick. Like, it's not the worst sort of gimmick idea. I'm not personally offended that they'd make an Australian a hunting gimmick. I find it, whatever. I don't care. You know, what's it to me? But it's just, I don't know. And the thing is, he's constantly capturing Reggie. Like, that's the part of it. Like, if you want to make Shane Thorne like a crocodile hunter, he's Crocodile Dundee from Down Under, pal. Cool. Gives him something. But they want to have Shane Thorne be a hunter who hunts and captures drag queen Reggie. Like, what kind of trash is this? Like, can you imagine they actually did this on television? Part of me not wishes this happened, because it's crap as is, but just seeing if they actually did this on television, seeing the reaction to this, but it would just be priceless. And then there's the part about Apollo Crews. And that whole, because we remember the Apollo Crews, that like Nigerian Prince gimmick. I remember there was a lot of positive sort of affirmations of that. I remember when I was making my videos, my SmackDown content is SmackDown the A show. I made a bunch of videos in the first half of 2021 regarding Apollo Crews, that gimmick, the presentation with Commander Aziz. I thought it was, for the most part, done pretty well. Crews played that character really well. All credit to Apollo Crews. That sort of thing worked. The Nigerian accent part of it, though, I even remember watching at the time, it felt clunky, it felt forced. Like, the character itself, a Cruz talking about his heritage and his lineage and his family in Nigeria, that sort of stuff felt authentic more so, felt organic. The accent didn't. It wasn't necessary. It was over the top, it was just extra for no reason. And that's obviously, offended a few people involved in this. So, yeah, there's my initial reaction to just the main parts of this, like the suit here. I think there may have been a couple more little details of this, but the main thing, that 9/11 idea is probably the most ridiculous, insane wrestling idea, most unnecessary, creative wrestling idea I think I've ever heard. So in 2019, 2020, a lower card, Aaliyah, Mansoor, and Angel Gaza storyline, like a love triangle storyline, they're going to drop this literal, like, nuke-sized bombshell on the storyline and on the WWE and on the show that Mansoor was behind the 9/11 attacks. That is so insane to me. That was even pitched. I genuinely can't believe that. And the rest of the stuff sort of just, I guess, of not the best taste. I mean, Shane Thorne capturing Reggie is hardly 2023 television, is it? You know, maybe in the 80s that would have been something that would have, you know, been just kind of there, would have flown a bit, but 2023, that's never going to fly at all. And this guy, Ryan Callahan, did some research on him. So he was the lead writer for Monday Night Raw from December 2016 through September 2019, which I think in that stretch, so really 2017 through September 2019, that is the worst stretch of Monday Night Raw ever. I would argue that featured the 2018 episodes of Raw, which is some of the absolute worst television ever put on the air, as well as 2019, which is some dud television as well. This guy was the lead writer for SmackDown in mainly like the Tribal Chief era, which wasn't the absolute worst, but there's been some questionable stuff in there, as we've just discussed there. And now he's the vice president, just generally, and works with SmackDown. So, yeah, lots come out here, so I just give my honest review, honest reaction. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and the drill.